And welcome back. Well, as per our normal tradition, when we're getting ready to start a build / repair, if you remember, this is our 2012, in which we've kind of gone through the exterior a little bit and underneath and identified some items that needed to be fixed. One of which is that rear sway bar, if you remember, is twisted like a pretzel on this. So I figured I'd bring you along and show you the parts we've got thus far. And if you remember from a previous video, the front passenger tire, the hub, the studs are all stripped out from someone just improperly installing lug nuts and running them home, probably with a 700 foot-pound impact. Either way, since we're going to do one hub, we're going to go ahead and do them both. And when I was searching Rock Auto for hub assemblies, I elected to go with what you see here. These were listed as a heavy-duty option as far as a hub. Now, with us kind of going forward with what we plan to go with on this particular rig, I figured it wouldn't hurt to have bearings up front. They're going to be a little bit beefier than stock. And for all of my Canadian viewers, as you can see, it's designed in Canada, but made in China. There you go. So these are the TTX hub assemblies. And these also come with the wheel speed sensors, if I remember correctly, and the hardware needed to bolt these in. Let's just get one of these out here. There we go. And let's take a look inside the box. Yeah, you can see it comes with some replacement bolts. Now, I'll be honest with you, I'm assuming the quality of these bolts are good. We may use these, or if we pull the OEM bolts out, as long as there's the same thread pitch, if they look good, then we may use the OEM ones. I do see some other documentation in here as far as hub assembly instructions and torque specifications. So we'll have to make sure that we read over all this when we get ready to put these hubs in. Important information inside, read before installing. So it looks like we've got another pamphlet. Tell you what, sorry for the camera work. I need both my hands. So it looks like we just got an installation checklist on here. Talking about the ABS sensor wire. Okay. Verify type of active passive is so equipped. Let's see. That's the hub itself, which, as you can see on this one, does come with, maybe you can see it through the plastic there, it does come with the ABS wheel speed sensor already built into the hub housing. And we did get two of these, if I had mentioned that before. Since we're going to replace one on one side, we're going to go ahead and replace the hub on the other side as well. That way they're of both the same quality and have been replaced at the same time. You can see they also make a note right there as far as not using an impact gun on these and making sure that you use a torque wrench to get to proper torque spec. So, just going to go ahead and set that down onto just a piece of cardboard so we don't mar up those threads. I'll show you what other pieces that we've got here. So we've got two of our hub assemblies for the front wheel bearings, also made by the same manufacturer, TTX. There's them. These are the rear sway bar links that will go with the sway bar. And picked up new ones of those. Again, what's the factory ones that are on there may be fine to keep, but considering how bad that bar has been twisted and how far those pivot points have been pushed, and rather go ahead and replace those also while we're here. Went ahead and picked up as well, and this is the same emergency brake shoes that we did on our 2009 Element 3s as well. We're gonna inspect these while we're in there, and if the e-brake shoes that are in there and the hardware that's in there that are still good, we'll probably refrain from doing these. Although, as you saw on the 09, we can do these without pulling the axles. It's easier to pull the axles, but again, if the brake material is still good and the hardware is still good, we'll roll with what's back there, and we'll just save this as a kit in case. So eventually, if the e-brakes ever have to be replaced, then we have the hardware to do it. This is the 2 e-brake cables. That's one of the 2 for this side. And then we've got the other e-brake cable. And of course that's the other wheel bearing, or I should say hub assembly. Now for the front brakes, we're going to do actually I should say not for the emergency brakes, but for the brakes in general. So rotors and pads all the way around. We're going to upgrade things a bit. We're going to move up to a set of power stop gear. And the pads that we've elected to use are going to be Z36. Now, these are the truck / tow, as you can see there, severe duty truck and tow brake pads. Now, didn't buy these for the explicit use of that we were going to use it to haul or do a lot of heavy towing. We know what the plan is for this truck. They actually do make, and I think it's called Z26 that they list for high horsepower devices. I went ahead and went with these because they have pretty much the, I think on the chart of it, the most aggressive stop ability. Or I should say the most ability to slow you down is what I should say. So that's why I elected to go with the Z36 version of their kit. Now this kit came with pads to do front and rear. It also came with rotors to do front and rear. And just to show you what one of those rotors look like, you can see per the sticker, this is the front driver's side. And yes, they are drilled and slotted. Again, with the knowing what we want to build this truck into, and we have to do a brake service on this truck anyway, we're going to go ahead and upgrade the brakes while we're there, because I really didn't want to pad slap it with just a standard set of pads and then have to come back by later and then change all this hardware out. Again, we've got to tear the front hubs down the front spindles down, or knuckles if you want to call them that, in order to replace that hub assembly. So we might as well go ahead and replace the brake hardware while we're at it. It's kind of one of those while you're in there type things. So we got 2 rotors and pads for the front, and these are the pads for the back, along with 2 rotors for the back as well. Now, just to show you what comes in the kit, you get the pads, as well as it does come with all new hardware. So those are our shims and our boots. And this box, unfortunately, didn't fare well through shipment. As you can see, it got pretty destroyed inside that box, but I don't see any damage to the pads themselves or to the hardware, and I don't see any missing hardware, so we didn't lose anything out of it. Now we've also got new shocks, as you can see, for both front and rear, because if you remember, the rear shock on this driver's side has a pretty good dent on it, so we're going to go ahead and change that out. And since we have to do all the work to the front, we're going to go ahead and change those shocks as well. I went ahead and went with the KYB, what they call their gas strut. This is about a step up or so from factory as far as their performance rating. They have another level higher than this, which is called their mono strut. I believe that's what it's referred to. That one is supposed to, I didn't go with that one because it's supposed to have a really stiff type ride. So I went with this one as a recommended kind of performance set of shocks for both front and rear. That's the interesting thing about this one. If you remember on our 2009, because it was four-wheel drive, on the front it actually had struts. On this one, it has a very much type of the same setup as the rear, where it just has springs and shocks in the front and not struts. And that is all the hardware that we have gotten in thus far. We are waiting on the rear sway bar to come in. And I actually had to reach out to Chrysler on this one because they listed 4 different sway bars for this year, make, and model of a Ram. And they actually came back with me using the VIN number and told me the sway bar that was needed. It was out of stock on most Mopar websites to get a Mopar unit. I was able to find the OEM sway bar out on Rock Auto. Now, interesting enough, I was able to find the sway bar, but the sway bar bushings were another matter. I couldn't find the OEM sway bar or aftermarket sway bar bushings for an OEM sway bar pretty much anywhere. It's just kind of one of those things that nobody seems to have right now. But I was able to find an aftermarket sway bar, so it's going to be a slight upgrade, as you see here from stock. Instead of having one position on the end of the sway bar for the link to bolt into, it's going to have 3. And the outermost position is supposed to give you the same type of quality ride that you have with an OEM sway bar. And as you move into position 2 or position 3, it makes it stiffer in the rear. So when we put that sway bar in, and I'll get you the name of it when it comes in. I'm drawing a blank to it right now, but we'll install it. We'll install it in the OEM factory suspension position, and then if we have to stiffen up the back based on the performance we're going to be doing up front, then we've got the ability, we'll be able to adjust it. Now, also going with the aftermarket one came with new hardware and new bushings as well. So it took care of the problem of not being able to find bushings. So that's where it sits right now. As you can see, we've kind of have a mixture of aftermarket parts here. Again, I have no issue with that, and some of this was done by choice, and some of this was just done based on the particular part that we could get a hold of currently. Parts are as far as availability is just like everything else. Some of this stuff is in the realm of unobtainium. Some of it's also on back order, and a lot of it is on back order with an infinite back order date with basically no date of when they think it's going to come in and be able to fulfill it. So I'm kind of going through and finding what I can find, and we'll go from there. And like I said, these were getting really good reviews. These TTX, these Terrain Tough Extreme components were getting good reviews on Rock Auto as well as other sites. And the Ray Bestos hardware, we used that on our 2009. That seems fine. And the Power Stop upgrade that we're going to do, and these are all getting good reviews as well. And I've seen several other channels use Power Stop gear on their on their trucks and other cars, and they seem happy with it. So, like I said, looking forward to kind of giving all this a shot and seeing exactly how everything works out. But with that being said, it's going to be a little bit of a short one. Just wanted to give you an update on what's been done thus far, and to let you know that what we're waiting on now is just the sway bar, the new rear sway bar to come in, and then we'll be able to start tackling getting these parts replaced. Once all the parts are in, we'll be looking at wanting to get the rims and tires sorted. Previous discussions, you know that we're going to have to replace the rims and tires due to the one rim that used to be over here that we swapped over to there. Is that one's extremely bent and just shot, and pretty much all 4 tires are garbage on here, with the front passenger one not even being the right size and series of tire. It was just a temporary one that was thrown on there. So that's where it sits. We got a lot of work to do. Plus, we got the interior work that we're still looking at doing, as far as getting the seats refreshed. But we got a lot of content coming your way. We got a lot of stuff to knock out before this thing hits its June inspection date, and I'll bring you along for the next one. Other than that, talk to you later. Bye. Oh, if you haven't subscribed already, please consider doing so. Again, working on continuing to grow the channel to make bringing you this type of content, a scooch easier to do. And if you have subscribed, I thank you. If you haven't, please consider doing so. Thank you much. Bye.